Welcome to Vlog Thursday 341. The crashing refers to me, in case you're wondering what's crashing. I'm in a sling. I'll stand up here so people can see it. That thumbnail is not clickbait. I'm slinging it. I have lots of, injuries on my left, so but I'm all right. I got to make a few jokes about it. But I crashed my motorcycle off-roading, my fault, because I'm the only one driving. There was mud, and I miscalculated the peanut butter consistency of the mud and the speed and velocity at which I was traveling, and then I hit the ground. So there you go. So that's it's not really any more complicated than that. I don't know. I've got several broken ribs and a broken clavicle. So that's it. Takes some time to heal. I'm going to be in a sling for a minute. There you go. Now we got that out of the way. So let's see. Hopes you didn't go buy your first ever motorcycle with the sale proceeds. A great video. No, I've been riding motorcycles for 30 years. It's actually, it's fun. A few people said, as many times as you've crashed. I'm like, yeah, I've always crashed well. And because you off-road, you crashed. If you're not crashing, you're not trying. And I'm always trying new things. I've filmed my crashes, but there's times when you miscalculate and you're like, I thought I was going to go into a roll. The goal is a physics problem. There's an amount of kinetic energy that you have. And as long as you and the bike are attached and that kinetic energy is going forward, you're fine. But when the bike goes a different direction than you because the tire slips and that kinetic energy is then left with you and you're going in that same forward velocity, you try to go into a roll to dissipate the energy. But I did not go into a roll. I whacked the ground. So I always wear my protective gear. So no head injuries, no lacerations. I got no cuts on me. I got lots of bruises. But all right, enough about that. Let's get to tech. Let's see. Tech is what Tom did say something about filling one's life experience. Didn't expect broken bones to be part of that life experience. Buy the ticket, take to ride. It's a quote from Fear and Loathing. So, fun stuff to think about. I'm very much a doer. So, were there choice words said? Actually, if you're curious what actually happens, because I'm a preparedness type person, is I crashed my motorcycle. I landed so hard, I thought I had possibly punctured a lung because one lung wasn't working. And I knew there was moments that I could be conscious from the adrenaline, but unconscious shortly. And because I was in the woods, I actually took the time to call immediately and whisper, because I like to really do is whisper to my wife that I'm in a crash. Keep an eye on my location. I will call you back. And I hung up. And then from there, she was still talking, but I was like, I couldn't really get any more words out. And then I messaged her real quick. Then I took all my gear off, tried to figure out if I had a punctured lung. I was feeling around. I felt the broken bones and said, okay, this is bad. And then I, moved on. So yeah, it's I go into like a preparedness mode of what needs to happen next. What are the next few things that had to happen? How, if I'm really injured, if you puncture a lung, it could fill up. How am I going to mitigate that? Should I lay on one side, et cetera, et cetera? You kind of work through those things because I don't panic. I process. So turns out though, with broken ribs, I rode out of the woods. That happened. So yeah, I rode completely out of the woods myself. It was 9.8 miles, very torturous miles. So I had the adrenaline going. I had my jacket off because I had the jacket on. It's just protective jacket, but I took it off because I didn't want to double injure the arm. And then I wrapped the jacket around the rear of the bike with a bungee cord, and I one-handed rode it out. It's a 125 that has an automatic clutch. And because if it wouldn't have had an automatic clutch, I would not been able to get out. But it had an automatic clutch, and I rode it out of the woods, rode it down the hill to where I was, and made it to the main road, and rode the other few miles it was back to my house. So, yeah, it was that was an interesting ride. I figured the fastest way to get to the hospital was not waiting in the woods where you can't get a car. You could not get a vehicle where I was. and I didn't want to walk out of the woods. One, I didn't like leaving my motorcycle, but two, walking out of the woods would have taken a while, and then someone coming to get me. So I said, hey, I'll ride. And once I got out of the woods, I was going to stop, but I went further because I'm like, I can still breathe. Things are still going. And I made it all the way home. So yeah, just kind of, it's just a thing where kept focus. I think I have a picture because I came out of shock by the adrenaline was lasting a while. And I think it was in the hospital. I took a picture of myself because I was noticing how dilated my eyes were. So but I was at the hospital within about 35 minutes, and I took some selfies. My wife was laughing at me. But yeah, then they sat me down and I realized how many bones I had broke because they started moving around, and I'm like, okay, I got some broken bones. So, which, hey, why not? We can share those too. Why not? We can throw those up there. There's one of the pictures. There you go. For those you don't know what a broken clavicle looks like. All right. So that's my story. That's how it goes sometimes. Things happen. Things happen worse when you're pushing. I'm 47. So, but nonetheless, I still got in my 9,000 steps so far today, according to my watch. That's why I'm late. I was getting ice cream with my son. We walked over to 7-Eleven to get some ice cream. Let's see. The cost of having fun. Did you get an operation? No, I'm waiting to see if I heal up without it. I don't want any hardware in me. I travel and I don't want to deal with TSA going, what's that in your arm? I have enough problems with the TSA. They just don't like, well, I got a belt I wear and things like that. I got TSA pre, but I'm like, it'll be a stupid problem. I don't want to deal with it. So, I'm fine not getting the surgery. Also, I've never had surgery, and this was the first time I've ever stayed in a hospital. I've never stayed in a hospital before since I was born. I think I stayed overnight when I was born, probably, but that was the last time I stayed overnight in a hospital as a patient. When my kids were born, I was there, but that's different. Oh, really? I didn't. Alan has a. Okay, yeah. So I'm doing the right choice. Jason's telling me because if you have an artificial knee, apparently they don't like you either. So I'm fine living without extra metal pieces in my body. I mean, normally that sounds cool. Make me enhanced with metal reinforcements. But also, if you travel like I do, you're going to go, the TSA is like, you just became our special person of the day. The the people who work with me, Jason Slagle, as he's learned, I don't stop. And even though I was in the hospital, staying in the hospital, next day I was still messaging people and telling people what happened and replying to emails and doing the things I do. Cause I'm stuck. I'm a captive audience, stuck at the hospital. So I just kept working. And then I've even did a video already in a sling. I've got a few others that I'm kind of in the process of finishing up. So what am I going to do? It's the only thing that's really hanging me up is, man, how do people function as typers who do this? Like, I realize that their interaction with technology is a lesser experience than mine. I type relatively fast, and typing with one hand like this has made me go, well, that's why they hate computers. Their interface with the computer is painful. It's a unpleasant experience. Oh, you always get to have the millimeter scan, no more metal detector. All right, we'll start. Let's first I want to mention this before I get off topic. I want to bring up this topic because one, you guys have been following. This was a great video. This is Jason Slagle and Brett. And I'm going to post some videos in there too. I've been trying to catch up, but I have a couple ideas. I've been starting to really write things down and focus. Now that the merger's so much more complete, thanks to the hard work that Jason Slagle and Matt and Brett and everybody on that we're all one big team at CNWR are doing, we're getting integrated quite fast. Some things are going faster than expected, but there's some things that were unexpected. And we have a video on that over on Business Technicalities. I'm going to drop a link for you right here in the chat. So if you guys can watch that later, subscribe to the Business Technicality channels, but it's called Things We Didn't Consider in a Merger. Now, we both did our due diligence and we knew all the systems and the differences in the systems we used, and we thought we knew how to integrate those systems. Turns out we didn't, but we figured it out and we got them integrated still in, I think, a reasonable amount of time. So it is 20, we merged on July 1st. It is now the end of July here at July 27th. And, so we have a lot figured out, but we have a good discussion between Brett and Jason about what those challenges were, how to overcome them. So if any of you are thinking about any of that, and by the way, follow the Business Technicality channels because we talk about the tech business over there, and it's great. So, and yeah, Tom crashing was not considered. There you go. That was definitely an unexpected piece of the merger. Definitely something extra. For one-handed typing, you should get a 10, 11-inch laptop with a keyboard size. It's slow, but when you can reach the Control Alt at once, it's easier to type one-handed. Yeah. Yeah, so that's definitely a thing. What you gonna do? Yes, share this tab instead. So I'll answer someone's question right away. I did not patch because they're only an hour old, but tonight I will patch XCP-ng machines. So yes, the security patches have been released for the Tavis Normandy's incredible work. If you haven't heard of it, I always go past the headlines. I always try to read the write-up from the researchers, and I'll admit I have not read all of the write-up from Tavis. But we'll pull that up too. So Tavis Ormandy, and we'll drop a link for you guys so you can bypass the news and read about it. But yeah, this is the Zenbleed write-up. By the way, and tell me which one of you can. You're just going to Google it, so I don't even know how I want to say this. Someone's just going to Google it, but I do like the fact that Tavis's. This is Tavis's website, cmpxchg8b.com. Lock dot. Look up what that means. Kind of funny. Ooh, I like it. Help, my sysadmin crashed. Yeah, I like that. I did not use that. What I can say is my right arm is fine, so I'm just left with these injuries. There we go. Did not roll on an ATV. That has happened before. I have crashed car. I've never exactly crashed a car. That's a story for a different day. I've ripped wheels off of cars, but they were hot rods, and that's a thing. Kind of a crash. So, yeah, voice dictation. So, nonetheless, the Zenbleed is in the same class of bugs as some of the ones that were, from Intel. It's being able to get some of the, what is it? Ghost and the other one. What was the name of the one from Intel? Someone will type it in here. The brain trust of people who watch my live show will remember which ones I'm trying to think of here. But it's the ability to break the boundaries that the CPUs have set up, the pursuit of ever faster processors and caching. Spectre Meltdown. There we go. I wanted to say Ghost, but it's Spectre Meltdown were the Intel versions of this. And it's just kind of an expected thing. There was actually a really old paper. This was brought up a while ago, and I talked about this. It was a really old paper from the 90s that did not predict, it did not call out a bug. It predicted that these bugs would happen as processors went to a multi-core architecture and things like that. That pursuit would lead to this. And so someone wrote the paper, but of course, this was in the late 90s, so no one was really paying attention, going, that's not a problem that'll actually happen. Get these faster processors out there. And, it took certainly longer than expected to get these problems out there. But there's mitigations. This is part of it. You have really, really off-the-wall smart people named after processor codes. What the assembly, that is a assembly code for x86 processors. That's the name in Tavis Ormandy's website for those who didn't figure it out. The cmxchg8b.com Tavis Ormandy's website where he has this write-up. It's breaking those boundaries is something that it takes a really smart security researcher. This is not something that was actively exploited. This is someone who is far above average, Tavis, at finding some of these type of bugs. So he's heading us off and doing the right research and getting these patches out. So definitely pretty cool. Yeah, I had a friend that lost a foot, and the first thing I said to cheer him up at the hospital, I was like, "Man, you're a foot shorter from last time I seen you. Definitely got to have the humor in there whenever you can. Got to try to do something like that." But Zenbleed, check that out. Definitely interesting. And yes, there's patches for all the systems. I'll patch my systems tonight. Maybe in the morning. I'll probably do it in the morning. I'm not worried about that. It's not like there's someone on my systems there's no concept exploit that's going to occur between now and then. So, our Unifi chat tomorrow, is that at 8 a.m., I think? Let me look at my calendar. If it's in my calendar, yes. I live by whatever's in my calendar. So the answer is yes. I forgot that. You should change it to your the bearded IT dad. I forgot your real name, but yes, now there's this thing. I'm like, I have someone else at 8. No, I have you at 8:00 a.m. Your name as it's in my calendar is different than I know you as here. So yes. Oh, that's right. It's yep. Yeah. So I was gonna say I don't have a meeting with you at 8 a.m. I have a meeting with Dakota at 8 a.m. So yes, we are good for it. I am a very early morning person myself. I'm a 5 a.m. kind of person myself. So definitely there. Let's talk about a couple emails here. People sending questions. And someone had asked, and this is the challenge all the time. I really like that Netgate has a list, and they're asking which Netgate device should I choose? Is a Netgate 1100 good for my home use? The answer is yes, it is, but because it's always a but with technology. But that but is what is the speed you're trying to achieve and what's the VPN speed you need? If you go, well, I'm not using VPN, awesome. And you're going, I only have a 40 meg internet connection, awesome. Great. So will the Netgate 1100 work? Yes, but it'll only work up to a certain speed. All those speeds of all the devices are specified on the Netgate page. So you buy it more based on speed first. Do you need the VPN's performance? Because the speed gets over to the gig side really quick, but the VPN performance does not get a gig until really far down the line of ever increasing cost. But this comes down to, which way is the way you want to go. So I think the 1100 is good. I think it's a good device. I think the 2100 is probably worth it to go a little bit better. The 4100 steps you up, I think, even faster than that. But now you're talking a lot more money, and it may be overkill for what you need. So it kind of comes down to budget. Budgets are rarely unlimited. So go with the one that matches the speed. And if the 1100 fits, yeah. The one thing about the 1100 is it feels a little sluggish when you go through the menus, which sucks. But the other side is it's how often are you in the menus? So I ran 1100 myself because I wanted to really put it through the paces before I got faster internet, and I never had a problem with it. I thought it worked great. I was slow in the menus, but it's whatever. It's an 1100. I don't spend once I had it configured. I don't do much with it after that. All right. This is another question that I don't have an answer to. And I haven't looked at it recently to see if they fixed this, but this was a problem. Just an idea, S3 MinIO being removed from TrueNAS Scale, a lot of people are starting to use MinIO in apps, but a lot of people have problems with getting the SSL to work. You are correct. I myself getting problems working through these guys to know other stuff, helping out so many people and change. There's just some bugs with it. I don't understand how they worded the last one. I think they're thinking people who take the time to do these write-ups on there. I haven't looked to see if they improved it, but I don't know why. And this confuses me. The folks at TrueNAS Scale put it in as an app. So now we have the ability to pull it up real quick. So I want to show you what it looks like. But I think they don't have an option for certificates, which is stupid. Like, why bother? Why did you bother with the app if you're not going to put a certificate option in there? So we're going to go over here to the apps, available applications. Pretty sure it's in the list now. Sure is. binio, and yep, no cert. If you don't have, why they don't have an option for a cert here, I don't know. The problem you're going to run into is lots of things that use S3 emulation, which is what MinIO is, need a cert. So I just don't use it. That's my answer. I think it's dumb that they did this because you can still use the other one and use a cert in there. And if you look at other applications, and we'll use, like Nextcloud, where's it Nextcloud at? Here we go. Oh, cool. It's an update. But if we go to edit my Nextcloud, this is already a web UI option, certificate configuration. This is a feature of their UI inside of TrueNAS Scale. They choose when they build them, when they build each one of these apps and they're building the template for it, whether or not, you have certain visibility into certain options. And why they don't have a certificate configuration option, I don't know. Maybe I could do a pull request, but that seems like an obvious one. So I don't understand why it's missing. So MinIO not having that makes no sense to me, because most applications require, even if it's self-signed, you can usually bypass like the check self-signed cert. So I don't know. I don't have a solution for you. I'm sorry. I will complain to the TrueNAS people and ask them why it's that way, because it makes no sense. And if their answer is like set up a, I think there's a couple reverse proxies in there, but I'm like, why would I want to set up a reverse proxy? I just need a certificate for my S3. So it doesn't make any sense. Speaking about VPN speed and a long missing support on Ubiquiti for easy site to site, it looks like they finally got it done, calling it Magic VPN. Will it convince people to finally choose it over pfSense? No. But here's the problem. I'm going to do a review, and the Magic VPN is novel. I think it's a cool feature. I thumbs up it, like, hey, great idea. You invented overlay networks. Cool. I mean, it's essentially an overlay network coordinated via the team at UI, because it uses their website. So as long as you're fine using their website, by the way, and I'm going to be a little bit of smartass when I do the video going, cool, you hired actors. Where's your commitment to the product? Where's your telling me that this product will last for how long? Will you abandon this product? You can't, because here's the problem. I'm relying on a company that doesn't have a roadmap that is incredibly clear on their cloud services to tie it to their cloud service that I hope they continue. And hey, this is a company that burned us on some cameras without warning. This is a company that burned us on phones without warning. And so they have a couple product lines they dropped. They put things, I granted things in the EA store may not ever come to production, but without a clear product life cycle, I wouldn't build my business on that. That can be a challenge. Now, overlay networks, on the other hand, so if you go, hey, I'm going to set up Tailscale. All right, well, it's a paid service. I know their business model. They take money from me to maintain the coordination server. Also, you can run Headscale to run your own coordination server. Awesome. And if Tailscale decided not to do things, we could switch it to another service. But Tailscale, I would say, is pretty solid. My preferred way, if we're going to do a setup, and we do site-to-site setups, we do like setting up things where we use WireGuard and build site-to-sites manually. That way you're not relying on a third party to coordinate your server connections. So that's just something to be aware of, is how that works. So I don't like how they obfuscated WireGuard that works well. I don't care if they obfuscated it, because that's all Tailscale's doing. Matter of fact, I'd rather them tell me they're using WireGuard on the back end than obscure it. I hate companies that try to, invent their own crypto. That's a recipe for stupid problems, because unless you have a bunch of cryptographers, why would you try to invent crypto? WireGuard is well audited and well vetted. Just use it. That's what Tailscale did. Tailscale didn't reinvent the VPN. Tailscale built a coordination system for WireGuard VPNs. That's the smart way to do it. So I think Ubiquiti did it in a very intelligent manner, but you have to look at it from the perspective of, if I sell a product, I want to know what the support for that product looks like. What if they go, you know what, we decided we're going to start charging for Magic VPN, but you weren't before. Or we're going to cancel Magic VPN. okay, I have a bunch of people using it. What's my alternative? So those are my problems with Magic VPN is understanding Unifi's commitment. And by the way, do you know how easy this is? It's just the same problem with Google. If Google took the time to say, we plan to support this at a minimum of 7 years from today. And every year they update that and tell us that they have a 7-year, 5-year, we'll just say 5 years. Just say a commitment that you renew each year for how many years you at least guarantee support. And then when we quit seeing that renewal, we go, oh, I got a few years left, but I'm going to have to solve this problem over the next couple of years. How hard would it be companies to do that? Well, they would have to actually not just rake in the money, but actually put a product timeline together. And that would be amazing. But, companies don't like to do things like that. So they could completely solve this problem. This is not an insurmountable task. This is a management problem. This is, the way they want to behave by choice. This is, nothing. I'm just going to stop ranting right there about it. Like, I like it, but this is my problem in general with many of these companies is we don't see good product commitments to their cloud product. We only see prices go up despite compute costs going down. And their goal is to generally get us in product lock-in, which I'm not a big fan of. The other problem with the lack of flexibility, if you will, when you do a side-by-side feature comparison, when it comes to the extensibility, pfSense still has extremely like a way broader feature set than you're going to get with Unifi. I don't think Unifi is a bad product for home users. Matter of fact, I'm going to do a new review where I say small business, like basic small business users and home users, go for it, man. I think it's a great product. I'll put the prerequisites of as long as you don't need insert names of services and you're good, awesome. There you go. But these are things that are missing. Commitment to the product as far as life cycle. How long is the update supported for? They seem to have it pretty good, but that should be laid out. Like this is something for better or worse. You can look at Cisco. You can complain about a lot of things, but Cisco's got a good job. When end of life is on a Cisco product, and that's how it works. So, hey, Chris from Crosstalk Solutions. Good to see you here. I don't understand Ubiquiti. They make rather random new product in a saturated market than basic features. They kind of bounce around a lot. So can you achieve HA using TrueNAS Scale in a home setting trying to imagine a Proxmox Reno cluster that needs permanent storage? No, there's no HA available for TrueNAS Scale right now. In beta, they have a clustering option with 2 TrueNASs. In beta, I've not used it, and it's very beta. How safe are OS rollbacks to encrypted ZFS datasets at TrueNAS? How safe are OS rollbacks to encrypted? As long as you don't change the keys, you can roll back. So the keys are saved in the OS boot, or you have a passphrase. I think I've done a video. Maybe I need to do an updated one because they've changed things. They've changed things to how the encryption works, but I'm pretty sure my video is still probably 100% accurate that I've done on ZFS encryption. So as long as you don't change the keys, you can go to a new version. You can roll back to the old version as long as you don't do a features upgrade on your ZFS. So if, and only if, it's not always, but when there's a version update, sometimes that version update has a ZFS version update. Now, this doesn't do anything to your data, but it will bring the ZFS on your data sets to a newer version. And if you want to roll back to the previous version of the OS, it may not work properly with the updated ZFS feature sets. But the encryption keys are a separate item, and as long as the encryption keys are not changed, should be fine. Could be worse. You could be Meraki and have your entire network die if you miss the license renewal. Oh, yeah. You're held hostage by them for sure. My Unifi senses started tingling when I talked about them and ranting about them. I wasn't talking, I was ranting at that point. So I'm going to go with that was a rant. Hit the wrong button. Scale 2213 borked my boot pool, and I have a working boot environment for 2012. Auto Cucumber hates you today. Yeah, that happens. That does happen. So that was my rant on them. I have one more question to answer. Um, I don't really have a strong opinion on this. How do you feel about Ubuntu-based distros with their firewall disabled by default? I think you should turn it on because if you accidentally do things, now you have two steps. You're like, oh, I accidentally bound something to my IP address, then left it open, and I'm on a network. I connected to some Wi-Fi at a Taco Bell, and now people can connect to my computer. So I think it helps mitigate the risk. I do think they should be on by default, but you also shouldn't be monkeying with services and binding them to your system unless you know what you're doing. And that's often not the case. A lot of people start just turning everything on. And the people who don't know what they're doing don't turn a firewall on anyway. So we're all in danger. But I think it should be on by default. But how likely are you to load a service and open it up and expose yourself to a potential problem? So better on than off, but I don't, it like from a default install where there's not even SSH running, I think you're good. I honestly don't know. What does Ubuntu have SSH turned on by default when you load the desktop version? I want to say no, but I could be wrong. I haven't looked at the default services Ubuntu has loaded, but I think they don't enable SSH by default. Someone will chime in here, brain trust of people. If Jay from Learn Linux TV was here, he would know for sure. Jay's got quite the encyclopedia of information on that. All right, we've answered the questions. We talked about some Unifi. What else do we got? Cool. Make sure I'm caught up with everything. Now you guys can just fling questions at me, or I'll just rant about things. Matter of fact, we should up. It's 6:00. Let's just update one of my hosts here, so we can switch this tab. We're gonna start updating things. We'll update the lab first, right? Can you do physical encryption keys with TrueNAS Scale if someone steals my NAS without the key attached? Only used for boot and encrypted stuff and readable. You do it differently. Let me show you. This is something I've talked to. This is what I do cover in the video is how this works. This is the part of the video that's going to be very accurate. Data sets, sync thing, unlocked. Let's look at the encryption for sync thing. Do I have this on the screen? Yes. Sometimes I'll forget to hit the share button. But if we hit edit here, look, it's got a passphrase on it. You have to type this passphrase in. So edit encryption option for syncing data. I got all my goodies in there. I got a lot of stuff that I prefer not to be elsewhere. And so this sync thing is encrypted. And every time the computer boots, I have to go here and I have to type in a passphrase to unlock it. And then all these files are accessible. So if someone were to come in, physically take my NAS, they would, unless they kept it powered on, seems unlikely, this will lock. So the moment my system powers off, the lock kicks in, and yeah, that's it. The data becomes locked until you have the passphrase. So that is the solution to don't steal my NAS physically. Now, there are ways you can set up. I don't think it's officially supported, but there's people, I mean, it's Linux, so you can script this. I mean, there's ways you could have on boot your server reach out to a key server and pull the keys and drop them in. And the way that works, and there's people who set this up, there's different methodologies, but essentially you would put a key server somewhere on your network and you hope no one steals your key server because your key server has the keys and it will answer the request of keys and unlock the server. But if someone physically takes your NAS and they don't take your key server, they try to boot it up and they're unable to. So there's ways to mitigate it like that, but that's obviously, as long as they don't take the key server. And most of the attacks are not physical, they're less frequent, but I still, even though they're less frequent, I still encrypt everything. So whenever you power cycle these, they prompt for a password. I think it's on by default. Okay. Pretty sure I had to install OpenSSH on my 22 desktop. I started working a few weeks ago. I think so too. So we all know free radius and OpenVPN and pfSense. What's your experience syncing OpenVPN with AD? People hire us to do it all the time. You can go to VPN. Where is it at? It's in their documentation. But yeah, there's a whole write-up on this. I've never done a video on it. It's been on my to-do list, but really low on my to-do list. Uh, but there comes a point where I do things that home users would do, but I don't necessarily do everything that the business people would always do. Sometimes I do. I just don't like dealing with Windows. I'm not the best person at it. Matter of fact, if you hire me to do it, me as in the company, me, not me personally, you won't get me doing it because that's not a me thing. Can I muddle through it? Absolutely. Do I want to muddle through it? Absolutely not. I'd have to use a Windows computer and I don't want to deal with it. So it's something people hire us to do. Tom hasn't done a video because Tom doesn't usually do. I'm not the doer of this task. So it's really not my thing. If you install it, ask if you want to turn it on. Okay, cool. When your life flashed before your eyes, were you happy with what you saw? Were you forced to re-examine what you did during your life? No, life did not flash before my eyes. None of that happened. So the past is immutable. You can't have something more immutable than the past. So I never dwell on it. I just don't spend time thinking about the regrets, what I should have or could have done. That's something that's, the closest I've come. That was a question I was asked when I did a talk of, what could you change about things? And I'm like, the only thing I'll ever say is maybe I should have been less of an ass when I was younger, but that's about it. Like I don't spend time even dwelling on the things not taken. So I always try to look forward on stuff. So that's not a question I dwell on very much at all. See how your hosts update. See how your hosts update before I do mine. Sure. Fair enough. I will steal your NAS emotionally. Lock your key server to require a YubiKey on boot. Yeah, there's an option too. OpenVPN with AD for some clients that support. Yeah, it works great. I have done AD with OpenVPN. Works. Yes. Lots of people use it. I think we've done LDAP as well for some people as well. I'm not positive. I think we may. I don't know. This is a technician question. I know we make it work because people start with, I want to set up pfSense, OpenVPN, and tie Active Directory, and we quote them and we do it. I actually, that's not a detail I've thought about in a while. Yes. Terry Pratchett. Yes. It is often said that before you die, your life passes before your eyes. In fact, it's true. It's called living. Absolutely. I like that. Where do we go? Patches. Yeah, let's see how these go. Install patches. We're going to do it through the web. Well, do I do it? I usually do it from the command line, but for all of you and the fact that it's like 7 clicks for me to share a, what do you call it? To share a window with a terminal in it. So yes, we'll let the patches ride. Let's see if the system explodes. I should probably have backed things up before I did this. This is our lab system. That's why it's called Labert. So I clicked install patches. Their patches are installing. We're doing it live. I didn't even try to back it up first. Patches are spinning. Loads are going up. Look at these. We're using 9% of our CPU to get these patches done. Oh no, we're up to 13% CPU. So yep. Oops. Uh-oh. That didn't go good at all. Well, server down. That's interesting. Can I ping it? Well, it's still up, but it ain't responding to Xen Orchestra anymore. So that's interesting. Huh. Well, that's going to be fun. What's the worst could happen? Mistakes were made. I hope no one was using the lab server today, because no one's using the lab server now. All right, let's go in here and go to intermission. Technical difficulties here. Oh, look, I didn't have to do that. I didn't do anything. I did nothing and it fixed itself. There we go. It says reboot to apply the updates. Cool. Hasn't been rebooted in 2 months, so I guess we can reboot it now. Is your Xen Orchestra compiled or a paid one? So the videos I do are always with the compiled one because this is how I mess with the haters. The haters try to tell me the same stupid thing all the time. They're like, Tom, and please note, it says no support down here, right? So the ones that I share here are always going to be the free ones because I know Home Lab people watch this. I want to get more people into Home Lab, and I want to make sure that the tools I talk about with Xen Orchestra and XCP-ng are available to you. So not every, I think, except for the one where I specifically talked about the Xen Orchestra appliance, all the videos I do, and I started out going, this is all free and open source. This is all something you can compile yourself. I have a video on how to compile it. And there's always some moron, and I'm just going to flat out call the person a moron. Someone moron the other day, hey, Tom, you're promoting some, SaaS-enabled company that there's no way you can do all this for free. I have to buy a subscription to work. I'm unsubscribing from your channel. They left me I get these weird messages. I'm like, dude, did you even watch the video where I said there's a link where you can do this? You can compile it yourself. So yeah, it's one of those things. I'm like, I get if someone asks, hey, how do I get this myself? And I'll say, hey, here's the video. I'm more than willing to be helpful. But when someone, starts calling me a shill and things like that, I'm always like, really? Did you even watch the video? Funny. Is this lose communication with the hypervisor? Maybe. I don't know. I never tried. And I never have it lose communication with the very minor of exception what you've seen right here when we were pushing an update. So pushing the update did cause it to, do that. So, but it without me doing anything, it also gained the connection back. Is Xen Orchestra an entire operating system or just an application to install on an operating system? It is an application that you install on Debian, Ubuntu, the distro. It probably works in most distros, but I happen to like it on top of a Debian distro because I like Debian. But you can put it on whatever distro you like, or it's all built. If you look at the source code, if you go look at the source code, you could compile it completely yourself. So you can make whatever modifications so it'll work on whatever distro makes you happy. But yeah, let's go and figure out the hosts here. So, all right. Sorry, guys. We're going to shut off your stuff. Are they doing anything? Eric's not even logged in. What about Kyle? Nope. Kyle's not doing anything either. Cool. So we will shut these down. Actually, are they set to auto restart? Let's go ahead and find that out. Yes, auto power on. And auto power on. Cool. I want them to restart automatically. So now let's just go ahead and stop them. And once these are stopped, we will we'll go and reboot it, and the updates will be complete. Let's see. Had a power failure with one of my servers, and it would be nice if I got a notification. I use Uptime Kuma. So for me, Uptime Kuma is my notification for things. So If it's red, it's dead. That's what it said. I don't know. Let me make that bigger. There we go. So as long as it's all green here, we're all good. So let's go ahead and reboot this. Reboot. Cross our fingers. Somewhere in here is a lab server. There we go. We'll watch this one go red. Yeah, we have IPMI on the lab ones too. I don't use Proxmox. If you like Proxmox, go ahead. Just not my thing. There we go. Is down. The best part, I discovered XO recently, being able to have limited users for my text that can only access certain VMs, etc. If you're restarting them and they're not using SRIOV why not just live migrate the host to a different server and even configure them to auto migrate and shut down? Because I only have currently one server in my lab pool. So my resource pool for my lab has a single server. So I don't have another one to migrate them to. On my production systems, I do. So these I can just migrate and reboot one at a time, of which I do. That's why I'll do it in the morning because I probably feel like doing other things tonight, but I'll just migrate these to another system. So that part is like no problem for me. I can just do migrations, and matter of fact, if you tell it to do rolling updates, I believe it'll just do these for you. You can configure it so it auto puts everything where you want it to be. That is an option to do auto rolling pool updates and manage all the resources and everything else. XOSAN is your vSAN equivalent. It's not out yet. The XOSAN V2 is what they're calling. Motorcycle crash in the dirt. So that's what happened to my arm. Do you have any production use cases with true S3 or S3 compatible backups, including Blackblaze 2? Personally, I like having backup Wasabi, but not sure how reliable it is in production. We like Backblaze. I don't have any current. Well, maybe we do. I'd have to ask the team at CNWR since the merger. I don't think we have any Wasabi people. We still have people on Backblaze. We are probably because things I haven't talked about. CNWR has a data center, so they have stuff, and so we haven't even covered that. So we might start running our own backup servers. That's actually on our kind of stuff we'll do in the future roadmap. Shout out to Tom, you're awesome. Well, thank you very much. I don't know if I'm awesome or not, but I appreciate people saying I am. Do you configure LDAP connection? Where in XO? I don't think you do configure LDAP connection. I think there's an option for, hold on. Somewhere, let's find it. I feel there's a config for this. Hold on, I'm looking for something to see if I can pull it up. I'm trying to remember where it is because I don't have anybody using it. Well, no, I take that back. We aren't using it, but that does not mean we don't have other people that are using it. So what you have is the ability to use auth LDAP. It's right here is where you would set that. You can actually do a few different ways. So you can use OpenID, LDAP, Google Authenticator, GitHub, or SAML authentication. So there's a few different authentication options in here that you can use. I'm not using them. I think I have a couple clients that might be using them, but not me. So It's no one's ever asked us to configure it. The people that had, I've got one client that I think uses it because of the scale of the company. I'd be shocked if they didn't. But we just consulted on architecture. They got the details set up. Like they're a big hosting company. Their first resource pool was 25 servers, all with, I think they have 100 gig connections on all of them. Each system had, I can't remember. It's all AMD Epics. It was really nice equipment. So it's, yeah, definitely. We have some pretty high end clients using it at scale with thousands of VM and lots of users. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to probably, I never asked them how, but I'm pretty sure they're using one of these authentication methods because why not? Managing that many users would be hard. I don't know. I'll figure that one out. Those are always hard because there's a lot of customer equipment in there. I don't know where that's, yeah, maybe. A lot of it, I don't even think you want the stuff that's out there. I know where some of it is. It's, yeah. Is Xen Orchestra more performant? Is that what you like it better? Xen Orchestra is more enterprise focused than Proxmox. It's more scalable than Proxmox. That's why I like it. It just has a lot of really solid features. Proxmox is very flexible, so it's a pretty neat product. I don't think you can get the same level of support and SLA agreements with Proxmox you can with XCP-ng. So there's a lot of enterprise reasons we like XCP-ng. I remember Xen back before Xen was an OS, back when it was just kernel patches. You had to install Debian, old 2-core system, back when DOM-U shared DOM0 kernel. That's been a long time. Yeah, data center tour, NDA breach speed run. You got it. Your systems are probably newer than my Dell EMC servers. Yeah, there's some stuff that it's one of those things, ain't broke, don't fix it. And it's especially when you just have redundant things in there, like, yeah, it's a backup thing. We've been replacing some stuff, but because I know because we I did a video about this tornado, and that was actually a CNWR backend server now that's really high speed. Those tornadoes are fast. So, but by the way, let's go back over to the screen here. Hosts. Look, they all booted back up. So for those of you wondering, did the patch work? Yes, we did it live and it works. So here we are with nothing on fire. Oh, well, something's on fire because look at that. All these VMs. Oh, there's too many of them running. Oh, there's 2 of these. Well, that's an Eric problem. Does Kyle not have his labeled lab? He has this one set to auto start. Yeah, whatever. They started them all. They can turn them off. We're putting the system through its paces. See if it explodes. Actually, what are they using for storage on those? There we go. They're just hammering the storage. Good news is we got plenty of storage. I'm migrating from the R620 to an R630 to an R630 XT. So whatever you're running is newer than what I'm running. I don't think that's what they mean when companies advertise live patching. Maybe not. Remember when you shared the fancy 3D printer, LTS logos and racks? Is the STL available? Want to add one to my rack? Somewhere. That's an I don't know. Any recommendation for Proxmox hardware? Sure, 1 second. The Proxmox stuff should run on. So I take that back. I have not tested this Proxmox, but I know it works fine with XCP-ng. And that is the, come on, one-handed problems. That is these, what are these called? There's a QR code somewhere. Come on. Ace Mini? What's the box called? Ace Magician. Silly name. I'm reviewing these. That's why they're here on my desk. And so these are actually are nice little compact boxes for building your little home clusters on. So doing some videos on these. I might, if I feel inspired, I might load Proxmox on it just to see if it works. Right now it has XCP-ng and it works on there, but you can find these if you look for Ace Magician on Amazon. You can find them. Whatever your budget allows, though. I mean, if you're looking for used hardware, I mean, that's going to be a better deal, so to speak. But it's usually going to come with the fact that it's going to have more power. What would you recommend for home use? 1 gig speed. Home use for what? The NUC wasn't that great anyways. The NUCs were a little goofy. So they weren't amazing. These are not going to have ECC memory. These are your cheap computers. So good for home use, not going to be ECC use. I'm going to grab one more. Because this is the other thing I'm working on the review for. Got to pull a sticker off. There we go. One-handed problems. I'll do a video on this as well. The Zima board is just cool. And so, yeah, I'm working on some Zima board videos to talk about this. I've actually got if you can tell, a controller card in it for doing SATA. And yeah, so this has actually got TrueNAS Scale on it. And then, I've been running it. It runs fine. I brought it here to my studio to do a video on it. So the Zima boards are pretty cool. I think they're a pretty neat product. They're not very powerful, but you probably don't need powerful for a lot of things, kind of in one of the use cases I really want to talk about is going to be, pull this up and bring it over here. I do like the Uptime Kuma. There's the couple minutes it took us to get Ryzen Elaborate back up. But anyways, the Home Assistant, definitely an awesome use case for it. So could you say that Zima board is pretty? Oh, yeah. Small scale. I mean, this is my small scale server. You guys just help write these jokes. Now I know exactly how to intro the video. I'm going to show you how to do a small scale server here, a small TrueNAS scale server. I mean, it works. I even 3D. This is all 3D printed. Look at how cool that is. Novel. Does the PCI card mount to the 3D print? It certainly does. So you can see that way it's not wobbly. You can, I don't want to hold it from it, but I will. There we go. So it doesn't slip out. You bolt it right in there. And the Zima board also bolted right in. Definitely a really cool little setup here. 2 Proxmox servers on a Ryzen 5 5600. Yeah. Can you do it? Yes. Do I do it? No, but you can. I've got a video talking about how to get pfSense on XCP-ng. I just don't do it. I prefer to run pfSense bare metal. Because think about this. If I would have had my pfSense running on XCP-ng, then my internet goes down while I reboot my pfSense or reboot my XCP-ng. And if my internet's down and I need to troubleshoot, well, now I have another problem. And hardware's not, I mean, it depends on your budget. Hardware's not that expensive, like to have an inexpensive pfSense. It's a couple $100. So to me, it's worth it to have a dedicated piece of hardware that runs my networking. Do you plan a small scale TrueNAS VM web server setup video? VM web server. I don't understand. $56 gig. You can't do 56 gig on it, so I don't understand your question. What PCI card is that? I found one that did not have M2. This one doesn't either. Look closer. It has solder marks, but not an M2. So no, there's no M2 going on this. This is the one from them. I ordered all this right from the Zima Board people. This is not a sponsor. I think they reached out to me, but I just bought it. I didn't even want to deal with the implied bias. I'm like, let me just go buy this thing. It's not expensive. Oh, I've already done a video about running virtual machines inside of TrueNAS. Home Assistant is neat. Made automation for a light bulb that changes from green to red when the electricity is cheap. Neat. I've got a lot of automations. My whole studio and my house all runs on Home Assistant. Oh, my finger was over the port? Okay, makes sense. Got it. Yeah, if you type in like TrueNAS virtualization, I did a video on how to use it. I'm not a huge fan of it. It works. I don't think it's great though. I think they did an okay job on it. That's my opinion. They are okay at it. And here's my Ubuntu server. So it works. You can even get to the terminal on it, but yeah, there's nothing. It's not special. Not to me, at least. I watched your FreshRSS video. I was wondering what are some of your tech-related subscriptions? You can find them all, and if you on that same video, there's a link to all of my subscriptions. So you can instead of having some of them, I actually exported my. Is it called an OPL file? I exported the whole file so you could just have a copy of it. But yeah, this is all my FreshRSS stuff right here. So as far as like where I pull the news from, it's let me change it so it shows all. So yeah, there we go. There's the news sites I pulled from. But that list, instead, like I said, you can go grab that list and just import it so you don't have to type all these or try to screen capture them. I try to make it as easy as possible. They're in my forums. Free to download. So if you have the Zima board just sitting there, does that mean your video for TrueNAS is done? No. No, I'm just moved it here to record this part of it. It's not done until I edit all the video and for it. So I wanted to have some B-roll of the device, and I didn't feel like dragging camera gear over to my office. So in my studio is where all my camera gear is. So I can just do it all here. I use Proxmox. Want to dive in XCMG? Is it dumb to run that inside of Proxmox? I mean, if you want to try it, nested virtualization is a fun thing. I've used TrueNAS for virtualization and it works. Can even do PCI pass-through, but doesn't seem to be missing anything important. For the basics, it's fine. It's just not particularly amazing. Got some homework this weekend. Play around with FreshRSS. Yeah, the other things you can do, and actually one of them's broke. Actually, is Reddit broke? No, I don't think Reddit's broke, is it? Nope, it's not. You can still point it at subreddits and it's able to pull all those. The reason I asked, is it broke, is because the Reddit changes to the API and the giant shitification of Reddit. So Matthew, hey Tom, met you at IT Nation Secured. Hope all is well. Thank you. And yes, all is well. Can we get the 3D print file? If you type in Zima, this is like the first search result on typing in like 3D print for Zima. I'll find that link because I have it somewhere, and when I make the video, I will include the link for it. I wish TrueNAS Scale will use LXD on the back end to the VM and add support for LXC containers. I wouldn't hold my breath on that. Martin Gonzalez, thank you for the donation. Awesome. Tom's not easily amazed. Sure I am. Huntress and just Defender or Huntress plus Sentinel-1 complete plus Vigilance. Pretty easy answer. What we do today and what we have continued to do even after the merger is Sentinel-1 full, the complete Vigilant. Is it Vigilant? Yeah, the where they have the back end. I don't want to mix my words up. Yes, we use the Sentinel-1 with their people, the Vigilance people, and Huntress. That's still our stack. What do you recommend for home users that wants to do SMB and web server on one machine? I don't run a web server. I don't understand the question exactly. Like if you want to run it in a VM on TrueNAS, you can. OpenVPN or WireGuard for small business? Yes, they're both great, but they have two different, very different use cases. One has user authentication, one does not. Generally, businesses would like to know what users are logging into their VPN. So if the goal is to get users logged in, you're going to go with OpenVPN. If your goal is to have a site-to-site, WireGuard's a good choice. It's nice. It works well. But if you need user authentication, you generally go with OpenVPN because there's no user authentication with WireGuard. Do you have HDD heat issues when moving large files in Zima Board or TrueNAS? My drives get hot. Well, drives definitely get hot. That's a problem, but got to bring these over here. These drives don't get too hot. Wow, this is all attached. Because they're just SSDs. This is the SSDs that I'm using for the Zima board. I can move that over here now. I've kind of made a mess. All right. I'm not messing with that no more. There we go. So hopefully that made sense. What am I doing over here now? Share this tab back over to here. I do run FreshRSS right here. Let's update Nextcloud. I'm using Nextcloud. Let's update it while I'm here. Upgrade. I've been happy with TrueNAS Scale's been much more stable than it used to be. So I'm pretty happy with it overall. And let's see if Nextcloud works. Going, maybe. Oh, back over to here. We talked a little bit about this. I do have, we'll go back to the main screen here. So I am working on the review of this. I just got delayed with the merger, getting a lot of things done. The merger is mostly done, which is great, but there's still been a few things to sort out. So it's not been terrible. But I want to get back to my longer form reviews. I knocked out a few videos. It is kind of a time management. And of course I managed to go ride my motorcycle and crash. So that's a thing too. Have they fixed the issue and it only uses a single core with the, if you're talking about the encryption problem, or I guess I need context for that. Work getting in the way of work. Yeah. And in the summer, I like going on things that are outside, bicycle rides and stuff like that. So I just found out about your merger last night and a video about it. How's it going? We'll be making videos about the merger. If you head over to our business technicality channels, we've made a series of videos about the merger. So if you go to, and I'll throw that link up here again for people. We'll drop that down here. It's really simple. It's lawrence.video/biz. And that will bring you to the business technicalities channel. And we've got several videos about the merger. Week before the merger, week after the merger.
Hey, it's Brett Chittum, business.
And this video is the things we didn't consider in a merger. So yes, we are making sure to cover it because I know people are interested, and Jason is too. So it's not just me. Jason is also very similar to me. That's why we merged, and he's very open to talk about all the stuff just like I am. So lots of questions can be answered there. For an all-in-one exo basket system, I thought of a Type 1 hypervisor running TrueNAS virtual storage instead of TrueNAS being the VM host itself. I think that's a disaster. If you virtualize TrueNAS, you just end up with a different headache. For the most part, running TrueNAS with a few apps works pretty good. I don't have a separate hypervisor at my house because all the apps I really want to run are right here and available applications. So I've been happy with this, but it comes down to, is the app you want to run in there, not the one Tom wants to run. So you got to think about your use case first. Do you have any experience working with devices that use 2.5 gig Intel network adapters? Apparently are known for having random disconnects. Have you seen that before? The Netgate devices we have 2.5 gig in them. They all seem to work fine. I mean, here's the problem. If you buy some of those, I don't know, lesser quality devices, there may be more problems with them, but I don't sell or deal with a lot of the lower quality devices. I think some of these mini PCs I have sitting next to me have 2.5 gigs in them. And those never had a drop or a disconnect. You demonstrated an issue, TrueNAS Scale, and only using single core full disk encryption was enabled. It slowed down a lot of things. Do you know it's fixed yet? No, that's not fixed. It still has that single core problem. I don't have a solution for that one. You're giving UDM another chance? I am loving my setup and surpassing resources soon. Important business things like what brand coffee. That's, it matters. Is C&W name of the two companies or original name of the other company? So that, for simplification reasons, we kept Lawrence Systems because it's the YouTube channel, and CNWR was an existing. So we took all the IT contract work, the managed service provider work, and we moved it over to CNWR. We did not try to establish a new company or a new brand. There was no point in doing that. So I now am a shareholder in CNWR. So I'm part of the group of owners, which there's 4 of us that own that company. So there's the owners, which is us. There is all the contracts that went over, but Lawrence Systems kept the YouTube channel. And technically, Lawrence Systems has like a non-compete not to do IT services with CNWR, which it wouldn't make any sense for me to do things in Lawrence Systems because I own part of CNWR as well. So the goal was for me, if I wanted to keep it, I wouldn't have merged. So it worked out really well. That's the best way to describe it. CNTWR. Well, no, because CNWR stands for computers never work. I don't know what CNWTR stands for. CLNWR. I look, they have a 4-letter domain. Do you know how much easier it is to tell people to go to a 4-letter domain? I enjoy the 4-letter domain. There's someone says, I don't think their branding's as good as yours. I'm like, I don't think it matters because it's a 4-letter domain. I just like that it's 4-letter. And it's not named after me. The only reason my company's named after me is because I'm not clever at naming things. Oh, I gotta log back in. Did it update? Hey, look, it's up to date. Does it work though? Did the update kill it? Oh, look. Nextcloud still works. Welcome to Nextcloud. Oh, I need to update my Collabora server now? Is there an update for that? No. Whatever. It says I need to update it, but here it is, not up to date. What are you going to do? At least it works. When is CNWR going to work in California? We already do. We work in all 50 states. We work in Canada. We work in France, England, Netherlands. I'm trying to remember. I got to make a list of everywhere we have clients. Now, we only do contract IT work for legal reasons. Contract IT is done inside, like your managed services are done inside the United States. The consulting, though, we do outside, we do inside and outside the US. So consulting globally, contract, because of the way the agreements have to work, there's a lot of little quirkiness. And so we have not taken on a managed agreement and contract with someone outside the US because the legal reasons are there where you have to, when you do international, you have some governance problems you can run into. Now, Canada's not that bad. We understand Canada. But once you go outside of Canada, you just have to have lawyers that review the agreement. And you have to have lawyers that are familiar with the laws. Like if I was going to do work in Germany under contract outside of consulting, well, then that would be, those agreements would have to be specially drawn to comply with German law. Residential wiring, yes, no, kind of. The problem is there's a minimum. We'll come out and do residentials sometimes. I think the minimum is going to be like 10 grand to get us out there. They're not worth it for us if it's not that big of a project. So if it's like a 10K plus wiring project for a home, we've done homes, but the homes are a real pain. So, if as long as you're willing to, pay the day rate of the travel and per diem and getting people out there, which is going to start at probably around 10 grand to get a crew out. Sure. So it's not that we won't do it. It's just probably not worth having us do it. That's what it comes down to. We do projects all over the place. We did a couple of big projects out in Texas, but I mean, these projects were 60, 70,000. We did an entire school district out in Minnesota that was over 200. It was like a $250,000 project. So it's not that we won't travel. It's just not worth it for us to travel to go put a wire in your house. It's just no reasonable way to take a technician from here and get them to there for a reasonable price. But yeah, I mean, we drive places and go places. What is your go-to workstation brand? Probably a lot of Lenovo's for workstations. We just like those. German VPNs legally required to come with free pretzels. Okay. I might be a law. I like German. A good German pretzel sounds good with really good German mustard. Residential, we get calls for it, but we just tell people what the minimums are, and they go, "Oh, I just want someone to come out to my house and run a wire upstairs." And I'm like, "Well, I mean, here's our minimums." It's residential is harder to do than dealing with business. So I want a German pretzel VPN. Let's combine these all together. Do I love Manage? No. I do not love Manage. You know what I love? That I don't have to spend much time in Manage. So the only thing I love about Manage is that I don't have to do much about it. There's a love-hate relationship I realize everyone has with ConnectWise Manage. ConnectWise Manage does a lot of things. ConnectWise Manage is a lot of things. Intuitive, not one of those things. I have been figuring it out and getting better at it. So I work within the system. It is the structure by which they operate, and they operate very efficiently within it. So they use it well. They have it well configured. But it doesn't mean I love it, because that stupid save button got me when I first logged in. I'm like, where's this stupid save button? Why does this UI look like this? Fun. Let me try to get my son. Can you bring me water? I'm thirsty. I've been talking so much. See if I can get my son to actually. He's not usually bounces into the live stream. No matter the ticking HR system, just reminder, it could be worse. It's always could be worse. So at least it's working. Evening from Jamaica. Oh, you're traveling. That's awesome. Enjoy your vacation, Cody. Great to hear about Lenovo's. I used to be a Dell shop and using lately a lot of Lenovo's. Any thoughts on ThinkCenter Neo versus ThinkCenter N70? I have no idea, because I think zero about it. The team, or this is one of the things I will work on, is there are 30 of us now. So with 30 people working there, about, I can't answer that honestly. I know I'll just say about 30, because I know that's about how many people are there, somewhere around there. I will have time to ask more of them what they like. There's people who work there that have preferences on these things, so they can guide me in my making videos about that as a topic. And I want to do an office tour. So yeah, but not drilled through. Yeah, doing home stuff sucks. Cody's everywhere. I like this. He's ubiquitous. Very cool. Yeah, the industry is 99% Dell. Yeah. When it comes to servers, most of the stuff we run into is Dell. Dell is definitely the most prolific servers out there. We see HP sometimes, but they're always like every time. I think every client we have with HP should have thrown out that HP 4 or 5 years ago. I mean, cool that they're still running, but not cool that you're still struggling having those run, because they're way out of service.
Your delivery is here.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Goes on the desk.
Goes on the desk, so we don't drop it. Thank you.
Hello, people.
My son says hello, people. What are you playing, games upstairs?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you for the water.
Yeah. Playing Diplo.
Is this cool?
What is it?
It's a mini server motherboard.
That is pretty cool. Is it 3D printed? Yeah.
Yes, of course. We got to do cool things like 3D print stuff.
That's pretty cool.
Thought it was pretty neat. All right, well, you can go back to me playing Diblo. Diblo 4.
Diplo 4.
Diblo 4.
Goodbye, people.
Yes. So this is hello, Tom's son. Yeah, HP putting their firmware, he put their firmware on, they put their firmware behind a paywall, and you're right, that definitely makes a lot of home lab people less than thrilled. Cody, I did talk about it. I seen your video on it, which is great. Thumbs up. If you haven't watched it, Cody's got a video on it. It's neat, but my complaint, the too long didn't watch, so you don't have to go back and watch this. My too long didn't watch, and I'll do a video on it though, is basically the Magic VPN is cool. What's not cool is Unifi not having the clearest roadmap and commitment because it has a dependency on Unifi's cloud to work, which is fine. You need to be able to do what it does. It needs something like that. Except, what's their commitment to the cloud? When's the end of life on the cloud? Those are the questions that kind of matter. So, you made a video recently and said you were going to tell us at the end of the video what happened, but you never did. I don't know. I'm going to need some context on that one. Just note, I work in construction industry, 3D render, modeling, design site. Oh, cool. 3D rendering and modeling stuff is cool. HP paywall. What happened to the arm and a sling? I crashed on my motorcycle off-roading, so that's what happened. And I did say that in my video on TrueNAS. So I said it in this video at the very beginning, and I said it at the very end in my TrueNAS video. Yeah, this is the one thing. And so I hope the roadmap becomes more clear. Is a problem. And it's just not just Unifi. I mean, I'm calling out Unifi because that's what we're talking about. But if there's a company that has a absolute garbage roadmap, but is worth more than, this is the king of garbage roadmaps. But which company would I be talking about that is the absolute worst of all of them? What company could I possibly be pulling up to share that has the worst roadmap of any large company? Like, they make the dumbest, we don't understand it decisions and just, kill products without warning, without even a hint of what's going to happen next. And that would, of course, be Google. Google and their Google graveyard. Like, they just keep killing things and killing things. They also, I don't know. This one's better because it scrolls better without me. It's not paginated. 288 products. The latest one, Google domains. But yes, killed by Google. This is such a cool site if you are curious for just how often Google kills products. There is like, Google is next level at this. And you don't even know when they're going to do it. So Microsoft, they just like to name things stupidly, but don't worry. Google does that too. They don't want AWS and Google to be the only ones that have dumb names for products. So they just rename products because that way the marketing department can go, we're still relevant because we renamed a product. What'd you do? Why'd you do it? Was it confusing? No, but it is now. So look, people are talking about us. I have domains of Google. I haven't heard about that yet. Oh yeah. They killed their domain service. I mean, and they're selling it all. They're migrating into Squarespace. So I'm sorry, you just became a Squarespace customer. Surprise. I mean, yeah, this is what we all want. No one wants to spend the money on it. So yeah, if you could greenfield a new network hardware company, what would your ideal be? Yes, we're going to build it all open source. We're going to have a locally hosted controller, and someone's going to give me money for that, right? Not likely. They just killed 20% thing and brought us Gmail, the best email except Lava. Oh, Lava. Yeah, Entra. Who do you have your domains through? Hover. I've always liked Hover. They're simple. Worked on MS 20 years. Seriously, about to stop. Kind of hate it now. Constant renaming and rebranding. They just do it to do it. I don't even think there's a purpose. I mean, maybe they're taking their cues from the dumbest they want to be relevant, and renaming things stupidly is currently a trending topic. There's at least one other person stupidly renaming things. You might have heard of the guy. I don't know. He's not my favorite subject because he just does dumb, and he does dumb to get attention. And rebranding popular sites that have one of the, strong brand recognition. Yeah, cool. You've never heard of Hover? Hover's been around a long time. I miss now. In the beginning, when I used Hover, they were cooler than they are now because they used to have a concierge service where they would just take over and take care of the domain transfers for you. It was nice. I don't remember when they got rid of that. We've been using them for like 10, 12, 15 years. It seems like forever. I think they were the first domain company I used after Network Solutions. So I don't remember exactly, but we migrated out of Network Solutions over to Hover. Still shocked Google Voice is alive. Yes. Yeah. The how they haven't killed Google Voice, mystery. Because they've renamed, Project Fi, Google Fi. I happen to use that. I like it. I hope they don't kill it. Because I'm really not looking for replacing my phone service. It just works. I'm happy with the service. It works really well. So please, Google, don't kill that. But working well, even if you love the product and it works great and you're willing to pay for it, doesn't mean Google won't kill it randomly because it's freaking Tuesday or something. They're like, oh, we're decided Tuesday in the management meeting, we're just going to kill a product. Why? No reasons. No reasons. What are you going to do? We're going to start closing tabs. That's what we're going to do. There's a lot of tabs. Why are all these computers grinding over here? Something's really... Oh, I bet I know what it is. Something's doing updates. One of these is probably using a bunch of I/O for updates. It is. I don't know. They're probably fighting with each other. Is that what this is doing? This one's using a lot. I don't know. I'll let them just run. What are you going to do? All those servers running. As someone working with Azure Active Directory AD, the amount of people that is confusing. You should have technicians. I work on an AT. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think it's really going to help. Maybe they'll get things right. Close that, close that, close this. We're done looking at the Google Graveyard. And do I have anything else worth sharing? Not really. So see if I had some other photos worth bringing up. Nope, nothing. All right, cool. True, they're both identity services, so yeah. Oh yeah, well, this is one thing about that. This is the other problem. The the way they handle it is security's an upsell. Like, oh, you need logs? Well, here's a service, but you want logs for that service. So that's an upsell. I'm not a big fan of the way Microsoft does that, but it is what it is, and it's one of the reasons I'm not a fan of any of these proprietary cloud companies to try to lock you into their ecosystems. It's just a bad idea. I'm seeing things ding. I'm making sure nothing's important to me. So far, no. These are not Tom things. All right, cool. Making sure. Some people DM me, but it's stuff I can answer tomorrow. That's what matters. Do I have to do this today? What's the biggest size company of using XCP-ng? How does it compare to VMware? I think we have a company with 3,000 or 4,000 virtual machines running on it, and it's different than VMware. I mean, VMware offers more features, but the question you have to ask isn't, does it have more features? This is the same question people ask with Cisco. It's, are those features you're going to use? If you have a use case that goes beyond XCP-ng, then you have a problem. I think it's much better than VMware. I think it's got a much better support system. I think it's got a lot of better management tools, and it certainly has better pricing. And being that it's open source, you're not getting into lock-in. So I think it has a ton of advantages over VMware. But if you go, oh no, I want these particular features that only exist in VMware that don't exist in XCP-ng, you start choosing products not by the product. You don't let the product choose you. You start with your use cases, and then you see, once you've drawn out your use cases, is there a product that fits my use cases? That's the better way to do that. No VTAX to start. So what would you use for Windows cloud hosting? I mean, Azure's fine for Windows cloud hosting. It's not bad. I don't think we have anybody using that we host any Windows stuff in the cloud, though. Even Azure, most of Azure's workload, the bigger majority of it is Linux servers. You hate VMware, use it for your company. Yeah. Any good tutorials set up Intune or Autopilot for the first time? Would like to start playing with it. You're not going to get one from me because they're not things I use. I don't know anyone who's got a good tutorial on it. I've not seen any. I'm not saying they don't exist, but also I don't spend a lot of time looking for them. So I don't know. Azure is expensive to host a VM compared to other providers. Yeah. Windows Server without a GUI is unusable. Yeah, we used to do some QuickBooks hosting. I hated it. I'm glad we got out of it. Like, it was always stupid and a pain. I was happy that client went away. Like, we told them to switch a few times because they bitched about us, and they bitched about the price. And I said, go ahead and shop around, buddy. And they did. And they said, oh my gosh, you're actually undercharging. I'm like, yeah, I underbid this, so to speak, because we were doing it for so long, and we slowly increased their prices, and they kept complaining. But the number of support problems they have are always dumb, and they didn't like paying for all the support. I was just happy to kind of make them go away. So I was like, go somewhere else. Cause they're like, well, we're going to go somewhere else. I'm like, okay, when do you want to do that? They always thought we would have pushback, and every time they would threaten to leave, they wouldn't. It wasn't a threat. They just thought they could get a lower price. But yeah, I have to look. I don't think we really have people right now. We did have a client, a couple of them. We had what was this silly database application? I don't know if that got replaced. We just did some consulting with them and got some stuff spun up in the cloud. And the client was kind of a disaster client. We never pushed them for any type of contract work. We did the consulting, and we're like, I take that back. We do have another one, another client that's got a mess. We cleaned up some of the mess, but we certainly don't want to manage the mess because they want to do, they keep wanting to put Band-Aids on it and not actually rebuild the stack the way it should be built. Their budget was for a Band-Aid, but they needed some real surgery to fix it. We're like, well, we got it as far as you got it. As soon as you guys are ready to do that, it took 30 something hours of consulting to get it working better, but it didn't work. Like we did everything we could and it actually worked substantially better and than it did. But it was like, they're using Windows. I don't know what it's called very well, but it's the Windows HA database stuff. We had to fix a storage server to get it working properly. It was all configured wrong. Glad you got this live. Yeah, it's fun doing the live streams. 153 people. We'll see how long Tom can go. I'm a little winded with the broken ribs, but I'm able to keep talking for longer than expected. Of course, this happened on Saturday, so I feel like I'm healing faster. I don't know this to be absolutely true, but I feel better than expected. Oh, someone asked earlier when I got my crash about light flash before my eyes. That didn't happen. But what actually did happen is the realization of how long will I not be able to do the things I want to do? And that came later. That's not like an instant of the event, but that is what I dwelled on a lot at the hospital was how long will I not be able to do the things I like doing? That there is like where my concerns definitely had gone. Oh man. Yeah. You probably noticed enough from my channel though. I'm much more of a Linux person than a Windows person. So you're not going to see a ton of Windows. I want to do this. Let me pull this up. Actually, I want to pull something else up that's interesting that I want to talk about. So I'll pivot to the next topic while you guys come up with more questions to keep throwing at Tom. Netdata got a facelift and it's pretty. So this is cool. Anyone have experience with Azure Arc? Maybe someone from the crowd, but it's not going to be me. I'm not the Azure person either. But no, the facelift here is cool. I like the little, ways you can expand things in here. Definitely. I love Netdata. I've done videos on Netdata. It's just such a nice system for when you're trying to sort out what's going on with CPUs and loads and looking at this. They've just done such a nice job with it. And it's a project that continues to impress with how easy it is, how it's able to see and have such visibility. So if you haven't checked it out, check out Netdata. And I've got a video on it. It tells you how to get it set up and how it works and things you can do in the back end. It's got really cool anomaly detection stuff. And I want to bring up the whole facelift they got. Let's head over to their... And they have a cloud version, connect to Netdata. Oh, actually, can I? Huh. Because I have to do it this way. Share another tab. There we go. So I can see all my nodes. There's my Graylog server, my Docker Portainer, you can put your XO. So here's the XO server running inside of here. It's just a cool thing to use. Intune Autopilot is the set up a proof of concept to start learning and playing with it realm. Not a lot of step-by-step guides out there, mainly just random issues and feature spotlights and Google oof hours. Yeah, that anyone I know that's got it set up, like they've never taken the time to do a tutorial, and it's like building this weird house of cards, and then something breaks, and you start Googling again why it broke, and you find out it broke because Microsoft changed something. I don't know anyone who does it that loves it. They're like, oh, it does it, and it fix that. So Find someone to code your videos yet? No, I'm looking for people for that still. Cloud hosts are local. Can you add more nodes? So they recently, hey, Brett, hello from Houston. Cool to see you jumping in here. I recently was reading their blog post. They have an ability. It's locally hosted. So what you see here, and we'll show you this one. This is the individual view of the locally hosted ones that you have. So you can. Oh wait, I'm on the wrong one again. Hold on, let me pull up the web portal again. The non-logged in one. Whoops. Because I closed that window. This is the non-logged in system overview. So you don't have to connect it. You can see it locally. But if you do connect it to the console, you can then have all of your nodes in one place. So you can get to these 6 nodes and it separates them out. They have a free cloud console so you can put all the data in one place and then all of them stream it. But in a recent blog post, and I haven't really explored how to make this work, but you can set up what they call like parent-child relationships with them where if I'm not mistaken, that's how they reference it, but it's where you have a single server that collects data from the others to do it. The other option would be just go to the URL for each server that you have installed. So, but I have a whole video on it. Yes, it's a very per client setup. That's another thing too. What would you check on Unifi when Windows laptops drop from a 5 gigahertz only network from time to time with no apparent reason? Go through, and if you use something like I do, like Graylog, I pump all my syslog data from all of my Unifi access points into Graylog. And then from Graylog, you start looking for the names of the devices and you start looking for why they're disconnecting. But it could be some weird compatibility. It could be something else in the 5 gigahertz range. You know, I remember a long time ago, and it was an old doorbell, the doorbell system. Now, this was a commercial company, by the way. So this matters because what they had done is they had a really powerful doorbell that when you press it at the front of the building, sent out a signal to ring a series of bells all the way out in the warehouse. That was cool because it worked. But what was not cool, and they would call me out there for Wi-Fi problems that were hard to troubleshoot, everyone would disconnect at the same time. It turned out that powerful bell system they had was infrequently touched except for when deliveries would come, and no one had correlated the fact that when deliveries would come is when the whole Wi-Fi system would go down in the front office because of that. So Wi-Fi is prone to interference. You can do scans on it, but when it's very intermittent, it's very hard, but you can at least start by looking at all the logs to try to determine if there's a commonality for when these events occur and a commonality in the logs. When are we going to get a hot sauce of the day merch? That's true. I got to work on some merch. Netdata and Zabbix are completely different products. Netdata does not do any notifications to tell you things. Netdata just gives you really cool real-time graphing information. When you use Zabbix, Zabbix can do more in depth about the services, and then you can create alerts within Zabbix to tell you like, hey, a thing is happening. If an Intel Wi-Fi card, update the drivers, there's Qualcomm, throw it in the garbage and buy an Intel card. That's true too. Goofy Wi-Fi cards are just a headache, and there's not an answer when you're dealing with some of those. Those are just unfortunate problems. I've actually, it was the Cisco ones were a real headache, which by the way, the Cisco died. So I never finished a review of my Cisco wireless access points because it just fried itself. When I was reviewing the Cisco though, I have a couple Lenovo laptops. No, at the time I had 2 Lenovos and 1 Dell. One of the Lenovo's, which these are all different models, so they each had their own ones, but they all had the Intel. I believe they had Intel cards in there. If you set WPA3, it would not connect to the Cisco. But if you set WPA2, it would. Don't know. It just wouldn't connect. It would go into a loop, and I don't really know why. So Wi-Fi is just sometimes a headache. And in going through the logs wasn't helpful because Cisco logs, they weren't good. Cisco wasn't even helpful on that. Try to say Zabbix and Checkmark. What's your opinion? Well, I've used Zabbix. I've never used Checkmark, so I don't have an opinion. Checkmark looks cool, but try both and whichever one works for you. But I've never used Checkmark, so I don't have an opinion on it. I don't know a reason to or not to use it. MediaTek. Oh, MediaTek are terrible. The terrible local dashboard. Oh, so I am going to do a switch review because I kind of forgot about them, and then I got them. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I still have these Cisco switches. I might do a review on the Cisco switches, but the Cisco dashboard software turned me off because it's so bad. It's just garbage. So I did make a video about how garbage their dashboard is that's supposed to tie all these things together. But yeah. Hot tips calendar with hot sauce recommendations and tech tips supports. Sure. Nope. The Alta Labs are back in a box because I haven't heard a word out of them. Like other than them telling me, oh yeah, we plan to have a local controller. Awesome. And never heard back. So they said we're putting it on our roadmap. I said, cool. Let me know when you get there. Let me know how that drive's going. And didn't hear back from them. So outside of we're putting it on a roadmap, I don't have any more communication from them. And there's not a reason for me to do another video because the non-local controller thing kills it for me, because what am I supposed to do I wish them the best. I think they have a great start to a great product, but if their product fails, I can't support it anymore and I would be stuck. So if I buy these, which by the way, they cost similar to what Ubiquiti costs, and if the company goes out of business, I suddenly have a problem. I have to, out of my own pocket, replace whatever I sold to a client. I'm not taking that risk. That's just not a risk we're taking. So we stay with stuff that we can have a better future with. Ubiquiti may not have the best roadmap, but I feel confident that even if Ubiquiti, for some reason, decided to stop supporting their APs, because I have a locally hosted controller, I have some time that I can continue with that controller working, and that's a good thing. Zabbix does have pre-configured templates. What Synology NAS would you use with about 20 or 30 Amcrest cameras? Which I would use a Synology NAS selector, and I would decide based on all the questions that the Synology NAS selector asks which one you should use, because it's not a question of 20 or 30 or 50 cameras. It's 20 or 30 or 50 cameras at what resolution and frame rate. So that's the question that they ask. And then the final question is, and how many days do you want to store all the camera resolution and frame rates? Alta Labs, yet another company in a very busy market segment if they fail brick. Yeah. Like, I don't get what they're trying to do at Alta Labs, or like of companies I would start. Like if you say, here's some giant chunk of money, Tom, you're going to start a company. I wouldn't go, well, that Wi-Fi thing doesn't look like it's solved. Let me sink some money into that, because the offerings they have are pretty good. And I don't see, Alta Labs was good, but they didn't like blow me away in innovation to say that, yeah. I just installed an Aruba 2500 in my home lab. What to pair it with? I don't know. Aruba supports standards, so you can pair it with whatever you want. I don't have enough information to give an answer. Every company that runs a live service of any sort should be required to store their code within a code escrow company if supporting. Yeah, that's a pipe dream. I'll agree with you in idea, but I don't see that in any practical way happening. Synology is a good replace for 30 plus 6 vision cam system where the client doesn't want to replace cameras. Yes. buffering. Synology NVR calculator. Why don't we just pull it up? We got the internet here. We have the internets. We can talk about these things and actually put them on the screen. But yeah, the NVR selector, number of cameras, 30. Base to store. Oh, we need 90. We're going all out here. Recording hours, HDMI, video format, sure. Oh, but we want the 4K, and we want to go 30 frames a second. Let's recommend that. You're gonna need some big boys here. I like these. I did a review on these before. DS3622XS Plus. Cool name. Works well. That reminds me, where's your preferred place to self-host Ubiquiti controller? Do you host it on a client site and VPN and something else? I prefer to host it on XCP-ng in my hosting environment. I have my own servers with redundant connections and fun stuff like that. So I self-host it. Linode is a good choice if you do not have the ability to do that. Yeah, you can technically do Netdata notifications via their cloud. But I think someone was asking more. It's not the same. They'll give you notifications on anomalies. Zabbix can give you like services notifications, and Zabbix is definitely like a way more extensible product than it. So they're not exactly the same comparison. Yeah, you can get some alerts in Netdata. Not, like I said, not the same level of alerting that you would get for something like Zabbix. I'm almost comfortable enough to install XCP-ng Orchestra. Thanks, forums. Awesome. So you weren't one of the many people who asked UI for the Cloud Key Enterprise. Yeah, I don't know. I seen the Cloud Key Enterprise, and I'm like, yeah, okay. That's neat. It seems pricey. What can I do here in Graylog? Graylog is cool because I think I was using it earlier. Oh, that's not what I want to do. Last day, there we go. Apply. Can tell when Tom was updating things. Hey, I know let's do this. Let's go back over to nodes. If we go to we do the same thing here. We're just going to go the last 12 hours. Yeah, that sounds right. You can see when I was running the backups. So you can see how it's doing nothing, backups. So the backups are running, so you can tell, but most of the time it's doing very little. It's kind of cool to be able to do that because you're like, oh, wait, here's an anomaly. Let's slice into this anomaly and zoom into it and try and figure out what's going on. I think shift. Yeah. Shift. Then you can start going, all right, what else is in use? Probably like memory disk, file system. Am I sending it over NFS? I can't remember. Probably. There we go. NFS. RPC statistics. How much data was being sent, or we can look at just the network system. So if we see the networking stack, now we actually want the IPv4. There we go. Sent received. How many kilobits we were sending. I don't know. It's just kind of a neat to play around with this. What do I use to notify? I use Slack notifications. That's been my My go-to is sending everything to Slack because I'm in Slack all the time, but email notifications work too. I have a video talking about like pfSense sending email notifications. Mostly though, I send everything to Graylog, and Graylog then parses it and sends me notifications back to Slack. But Graylog can email things. Uptime Kuma, I have that tied to Slack as well. Another thing to consider Synology is you can't mix H.264 on the same camera. For instance, Graylog Duo only supports one stream, and H.265s can't have a lower stream then. Yeah, we usually don't do that. So, how do Slack notifications go out if the WAN is down? We have more than one WAN. Graylog has been so frustrating to set up for me. I've gave up like 3 times. It's a little, I mean, I did my tutorial on it. It's a little bit of a bear to get it set up because it's just a lot, but it's a very, very extensive logging server. So yeah, it's kind of a lot. So the good and bad is there's a lot to Graylog. It is what it is. Having dual connections is my solution to that problem. How would you back up a server with 30 terabytes of data, a Synology, to 30 terabytes of data to a Synology NAS? I mean, I've never tried using active backup for that. That's probably not the best way to do it. So whatever backup tool you're using to copy the data from where it is to where you want it to be. There's lots of different backup tools for that. Usually though, the NAS has whatever functionality built into it. That's my general solution, is to use what, like, what if rsync is built in. Rsync is a way to do it. But once you start dealing with data sets that size, I try to be Synology to Synology. So for example, we do have a client who's got 10 12 terabytes of data on a Synology. My solution for their on-site backup is to have a second Synology. Now they have an off-site too, because they're not creating data faster than they can get it out. They just long-term have a lot of data they need to hold, which also means it's hard to get all that data back to them if their Synology were to fail. I mean, we do the same thing with TrueNAS. Instead of selling someone a TrueNAS with a backup, when possible, it comes down to what your risk tolerance is. We will sell them a second one so we can have all that data on site. How far does network need to be locked down in your opinion? Is there part of tinfoil hat when anything is unencrypted, even if it's between 2 machines in the same rack? I mean, I prefer to encrypt all the things, but this is where people overthink it. Like, I prefer to lock as much down as possible, but I for example, my FreshRSS, turns out I don't have it encrypted. I never bothered setting up a certificate because I don't care. Uh, that could be a problem because someone could get on my network and sniff the password for FreshRSS, and that would suck, I guess. But I'm not that worried about it because I already gave away my entire news feed for free on my forums publicly. So it comes down to what are you worried about protecting? I try not to expose things. I try to lock things down that are important and keep documents safe. But I don't know. There's not like an easy answer for it. It comes down to what your risk tolerance is. Didn't realize I'd be streaming alone. How you doing? I'm doing well. My son brought me water, and I still have some left. How do you handle 2 WAN and the DDNS, or do you use static IPs? The IPs are static, so it's not an issue, but I don't have a static IP at home, but my home IP hasn't changed in a year or longer. The last time it changed is when I swapped the pfSense because I didn't bother copying the MAC address because I didn't care. So I just updated my DNS, but the IP address with my providers, even when I don't buy static, they pretty much don't change. It's a pretty rare thing. In my previous house, my home IP changed twice in the 11 years I was there. 11 years, 2 IP changes. So it's just not something that I have had to deal with much. I installed TrueNAS. The web interface is not detecting my drives, even though the command line does show them when I run. I have no idea why it's not. That's not a problem I've encountered. If it sees them with the ls block command, I don't know why it would not see them inside of TrueNAS. With more than one WAN, how is the WAN IP address handled? Each WAN gets an IP address. Maybe you'll have to, I don't know the question. No, he's not getting Tom into Diablo 4. My son's been, I don't know that I'm interested enough. Maybe. Well, right now, with one hand, I can't play games very well anyways. I work with someone from Sprinter IT, and when I was talking to them about a video, he gloated that he was in the old studio. Yes. Yep, the people from Sprinter have been over. Chris Tiffany is awesome and just a great person. I've always had like the best conversations with him. He's super smart, and Sprinter IT is smart people over there. All the people I've ever met are really cool. I up changes every time ONT locks up for each of reasons once a year. 2 IP change 11 years. Yeah. It's just I'm using Wide Open West. It just keeps working, so I don't really think about it much. I've been using Wide Open West forever. I feel like for like 12 or 13, 14 years. I have found that IP changes more often with coax ISP. Fiber has not changed mine in 4 years. Yeah. Yeah, I kind of I was excited the day I talked about it, and my enthusiasm for setting up an Unreal server tanked. So it sounded cool. IP changes depend on the ISP. Some daily, some never change. Yeah, I think generally they don't want the tech support that may come with it. So if they know swapping it, there's even if it's momentary, any type of, because routers may not release DHCP properly or something like that, that swapping IPs frequently could be a more potential, support issue for them. So I don't think they want to change them frequently because they're like, oh, that's just, that's going to be a problem. Let's see here. All right, make sure I see a what, but I don't know what we're whatting about. Saves a lot of issues when the torrent police come knocking. Yeah. What would you use an Unreal server for? Oh, we were talking about the really old Unreal Tournament servers, like that you can run yourself, like getting some old school games going. I think that's kind of cool, but I don't play games enough at all. I barely play games at all, I should say. So it will not read them if they're part of an existing Btrfs array. However, if I format them to ext4, it does see them. Weird. I always put them in blank, so that's not something I would run into. If the hardware, I would upgrade 10 gig ISP. If I had the hardware, I would upgrade to 10 gig ISP and a host server. Okay. Strange. Publishing back and forth on IPs? Huh. A local fiber ISP does DHCP reservations. Don't have to pay for static, but it still gets the benefit. Okay. Get well, brother. Maybe one day I'll work with you. I have my company for 2 years, slowly growing, but love telecommunication industry. Cool. It's a total nightmare when I need to have permitted IPs on a client. My WoW internet sold to Breezeline. Now I miss the WoW. Yeah. Tons of stuff, as you can imagine. Yes. If you have IPs that are bouncing around, that's definitely going to be interesting. Fiber optic magazines. I have no idea. I don't know how to answer. I don't really follow any fiber optic news. Oh, thank you. Yes, the thumbnail's not clickbait. Well, I have a different sling on, so my leg is numb. Hold on, almost fell. All right, I was sitting on my leg a little bit too long, I think. Yeah, the sling is real. Don't worry, it's only my left side, so I'm all right. I don't think all the same people were here when I said the joke the first time. You don't need 10 gig for hosting on real server. I used to pass with 10 meg upload and it was more than enough. Oh man, I mean, I used to host my Unreal server on a fractional T1. So I know you don't need, because I'm going back to the very original OG Unreal. So I love Wendell's shirts. Wendell's just awesome. Now that you're more YouTube, any future collaborations? You know, if it wasn't for the merger, I didn't want to leave during the merger. And of course now I can't for this, but I ended up skipping going to the LTX thing. But yes, I do plan to do some collaborations with people on some things. Me and Wendell talked a couple times. So get this, I was actually not far from Wendell in Kentucky, but Wendell happened to be in the what is the event over? Is it Taipei? He was in Asia. So the one time I happened to be there, but Wendell lives, it's a drive. It's not short, but I may go down there to visit Wendell one time. So I want to go, to his studio and stuff like that. So that's definitely on my to-do list. He's one of the people I want to do a collab with. Me and him chat from time to time. He's definitely an interesting and a fun technical guy. What kind of motorcycle do I ride? I do have pictures of it. Somewhere there's a picture. Has a broken mirror now. So the only thing the bike suffered was a broken mirror. So this is actually the one I crashed on. I have a few motorcycles, but this is the one I was out in the mud and I was flying. So it's fun riding out in the mud. Do you go to tech events? I go to some of the ConnectWise ones. I like hacking events. So yes, I'll be at GurCon. So GurCon is coming up later this year. Oh, Doom 2 and Heretic. Heretic was fun. Computex, that's what it was called. So we have two offices now that we merged. We have our Southgate. We call it Detroit office, but it's technically in Southgate. The address is published on the website. And the other office is in Toledo. What do you do in your spare time? That. Crash motorcycles. You should collaborate with Let's Talk Cabling. I'm not the big cabling person though, so that's not my expertise. Oh, someone noticed I modified the sling with a carabiner. So the doctor got a kick out of this. The doctor sees me and he's like, he stares at it. He goes, oh, because I had to go for, I had to see a specialist after I got out of the emergency room. And he's like, hold on, go ahead and I'm going to unvelcro. I was like, oh no, I got the carabiner. He just stares at it. He goes, I like you. GurCon. What is a GurCon? This is a GurCon. I don't like the Google Journey thing. It's stupid. I accidentally pulled it up, so it took me. So yes, this is what a GurCon is. It is a GurCon Cybersecurity Summit and Hacker Conference. Great pictures. Cool kid on the bike. I ride dirt bikes. Was happy to hear that you're a fan of two wheels. Well, I've been riding for over 30-something years now. How did you get back to civilization after you crashed? Was someone there to help you? No, I had to ride out 9.8 miles from my crash. Yes, Klinger. So very few people, I guess it depends how old you are going to know who Klinger is. But Klinger with the 4077 and yes, Tony Pacos, and they got famous from that show, MASH. You're in Toledo, even closer. Yeah. Crashing them isn't ideal, but riding is fun for sure. Here it is just too risky. Good smiling, good sling mod there. Yes. I miss running around Heretic Deathmatch Match Doom Connector from the early 2K. Now I want to download Rise of the Triad. There's a fun game I used to like playing too. Rise of the Triad. Boy, that brings back a memory there. So, is it still around? I'm not going to buy it. Well, I don't know. It could happen. All right, it still exists. Or is this a new one? No, this is newer. I'm looking for the OG. I didn't know they did a remake of it. I might buy this. This looks fun. I remember the old one. Is it good? It says all reviews are mixed. Interesting. So it's a reboot of it. I'll think about it. Add to my wish list. It'll go on sale in the Steam sale. So cool. All right. Half-Life TC and a Fort map. Yep. That's the remake. I actually host Exotic server if you guys still want to run a fast-paced arena shooter inspired by the old Quake games. I like Exotic. Me and my son used to play that when he was a lot younger. We'd play that together all the time. That's just a cool game. That's just a cool game. You know, I've been doing this for over 2 hours with this live stream. I think I might wind it down. You know, Jeff from Craft Computing, me and him were talking, and I didn't, I chat with him time to time. He does kind of a follow-up live stream in this Discord. That's not happening today, but maybe I'll do something like that. I wouldn't mind doing some more interactive stuff, chatting with people. But after 2.5 hours, I am slowly realizing that I'm going to run out of voice pretty soon. So the water drinking's helping, but I am actually kind of hungry. And my son probably is too. So me and him got to make food together. So I got food I want to make. Shout out to fellow Oregon. Yes, Jeff is Oregon. Last game I played was Wolfenstein. Yes. Yeah, I don't play a ton of games. When I was younger, I did. And somehow when I got older, I don't know. I remember I met you at DattoCon this year, and you talked for like an hour and a half, probably. I talk a lot. Before you try chatting with us and after party, you should let your clavicle heal or improve your single-handed typing. Yeah. I used to play a demo game called Titans of Steel when I was like 12. I don't know if it's any good. Yes, Jeff is building a new studio, which is pretty awesome. Very cool. You bought a gold brick? Awesome. Yeah, I like Jeff a lot. And, I like what he's doing. He's just, knowing him personally is fun too. He's as good and as nice in person as he is in the videos. Well, I haven't met him physically in person, but we chat, we talk about YouTube things. Jeff from Craft Computing, Jeff Geerling, Jay from Learn Linux TV, Hardware Haven, which I forgot the guy's name that runs that. There's a bunch of us that all have gotten together and created our own little group where we're all just supporting and helping each other. It's just kind of some of the back end things that we do. Jay from Learn Linux TV kind of pushed and started it, and we've all just kind of grown together as a community because we all just want to help each other as content creators, and it's been kind of fun hanging out. And that is where we're going to plan some more collaborations. Lots of great people on that list. The number of little services my family extended have started host makes me want to use AD. But when AD and free people seem like nightmares for that, are there smaller identity services? No, it's just there's no good way to manage that because most companies don't have integrations for it. That's where the headache comes in of dealing with identity management. There's just the companies all kind of default to using like Google or Microsoft. And because of that, for their single sign-on systems, there's not like this one system to rule them all that does authentication. It's an integration problem. It's not that there's not multiple systems that can do this. It's finding the integration with the product. Oh, throttle control I get on the right, but clutch. Because if you're not familiar, hold on, let me find out a picture of it. So the Honda Trail 125, and we'll go over here. We got throttle and we got an automated clutch. So automated clutch is the answer. That's the solution. You should also do a major collab series. We all work together in parts of a project, and each post videos, you're part of the project. It's harder to do than you think. We all have the same thought, and we realize the actual doing of it's really hard. So it's the actual putting it together and putting it is just a lot. That's cheating. Whatever. I wish it had a clutch. Well, I wish it had a clutch, except for when I crashed, and I'm glad I could ride it without a clutch. So normally I prefer a clutch. But that was not yeah. Nonetheless, I'm babbling now. Thank you for all the well wishers, and thank you for all joining me. This was a lot of fun. My voice is a little hoarse, and I am going to go do some fun stuff, hang out with my son, and we're going to probably eat pizza because that's just what he lives on. And that actually sounds good right now. I'm hungry. I don't know what I want, but when I don't know what I want, pizza, if you just put it in front of me, I'm going to go pizza. All right, I can do that. I will make people laugh because me and my son, where did we go? We went and looked at art somewhere. I'll throw this picture up here. We were just laughing about the dog. This dog was just staring at us. We're like, what is up with that dog? It's just kind of strange. So that's over at the Detroit Institute of Arts. So if you want to go see a strange dog, go find that dog. You can take a selfie with it like I did. So, all right, later, everyone.